Hello, my name is Eknam Bajaj, and I will be talking to you about Jean-Jacques Rousseau. He was a Swiss-born educational reformer and thinker whose life was filled with grief and hardship. His mother died while giving birth to him, and the rest of his family abandoned him early in his life. He is known for stating "back to nature," and his philosophy really emphasizes the goodness of nature and blames all the negatives on society. He believed that as a child, man must be educated according to nature so that he will have the strength to be himself as a citizen and join a social contract. His most famous work on childhood development and education is his book Emile. In it, he describes that man has 4 stages in life and provides a system of education and specific pedagogy for each stage. Number 1 is the stage of education of nature that reaches as far as the 12th year. Number 2, that of reason to the 15th year. Number 3, that of power to the 20th. And number 4, that of prudence to the 25th. After these stages, man enters a last age of education called the age of happiness. Rousseau believed in a supreme being, but believed that God could be recognized not by himself, but by creation, that is nature. In other words, Rousseau believed that God could be known only through general revelation and not through both general and special revelation. Thus, nature is the fundamental part of life. Society and the social community are considered artificial and precarious, and the goal of education is to maintain man's neutral strength, which is a commodity of God's creation. He believed that children should not start school or have a formal education until about 12 years old. Children should play outside in nature in an unrestricted manner. He also believed that virtue comes from experience, especially sensory experience, and not teaching. Again, therefore, his emphasis was put on experiences rather than books and other media. Through this, the mind will develop on its own. The role of the teacher is to only guide, motivate, and facilitate the learning, but not to instruct. Also, no punishment must be given. Discipline should come as a natural consequence of the child's actions. His philosophy produced more student-centered classrooms as well as more active classrooms with hands-on activities, experiments, and the incorporation of field trips. In his book Emile, Rousseau depicts the setting with the educator and the child only. Schools, family, siblings, peers, and all other forms of influence are absent. He also ignores the importance of books and other media, as well as games and communication cultures of children. He placed much emphasis on the equality, justice, virtue, and the right way of raising children, yet sent all 5 of his children to orphanages immediately after birth. He never even knew his own children. Many have also critiqued his conservative view of women. To Rousseau, man was to serve and woman was to please. Women should learn housekeeping, dance, music, and the arts, and states that intellectual interest destroys her basic nature. Lastly, he believed that a child of nature is pure and without sin. When the child enters the world, he or she does not belong to anyone except for him or herself. Evil has to infect the child. When examining this through a biblical worldview, Psalms 51:5 says, "Behold, I was brought forth in iniquity, and in sin my mother conceived me." Psalms 58:3 says, "The wicked are estranged from the womb, they go astray from birth, speaking lies." And Romans 5:12 says, "Therefore, just as sin came into the world through one man, and death through sin, and so death spread to all men because all have sinned." Thank you for listening.